Hi, and welcome to this quick how to help video on factorising expressions back into a bracketed form. So it's the opposite of expanding. We're looking at, like I say, single brackets, and the easiest, simplest way to recognise when an expression goes into just the one bracket rather than two is by counting the number of terms. So we can see that every single one of these questions has two terms, 1, 2, 1, 2, etc. And it's true 99% of the time. So it's a really good go-to. I see two terms, it's one bracket. The exception to that rule, and it's a very small, tiny minority of possible expressions that go to two brackets, can be seen in the quadratic factorising video, okay? But I won't touch on it here. This is all about the single. So let's have a little look. This is definitely an area that students struggle in. Expanding brackets can be picked up quite easily by most students, and they can secure it with a good level of confidence. But the factorising is something that takes a little bit more time in practice and is easily forgotten. So we need to come up with a way of trying to remember it. So we in class do a lot of F for factorising. It's just hopeful, because you're reading factorising and it begins with the letter F, that you can make this link to wrapping an F around the question itself. F for factorising, boom, put the F in. Once you've done that, the idea is that you see this line here as a divide line. Okay, now we don't use it all the time literally as a divide line, not if we want to try and keep things as simple as possible, but that is in effect what it's doing. And then I'm looking at my terms and I'm thinking, right, what's common? If I look at 3 and 12, there is a common times table, and that is 3. So I'm going to write that underneath. I'm also going to write it to the side, squashed to the open bracket, because that's the first part of my answer. Now I'm going to just simply say, how many 3s can I get into 3? 3s into 3 are 1. So I've now got 1x. I'm not going to write 1x. I'm just going to write x. I don't need that number 1 written in front of it. If you did it, it's not the end of the world, so don't worry about it, but try not to. It's not standard notation. Then I'm going to say, how many 3s can I get into 12? That is 4. It's a positive 12, so a positive 4. Close the bracket, job done. We've just factorised it. Okay, let's move on to the next question. So let's get rid of this one. We have got 10x minus 20. We know it's factorising, so F for factorising. And then we look at what we can see in these numbers. Now, this is where we need to be really careful, because there is more than one number that we could select. I could say that 2 goes into both those numbers, and I'd be absolutely right. But so does 5. And I need to take the biggest times table if I'm going to factorise fully. So it's a bit like saying that you've got a fraction that's 10 over 50, let's say. If I half those, I'd have 5 over 25. Well, I've cancelled it. I have simplified it, but I haven't simplified it fully. I haven't gone all the way to the smallest possible version. To do that, I would have divided by 10 and got 1 over 5. And that's kind of the same principle that's happening here. If I divide by the 2, I will factorise this expression, but I won't factorise it fully. I won't write it in its sort of smallest, neatest possible way. I'll still get marks, but I won't get all of them. So it's really important. What's the biggest times table that goes into both? And that is 5. So 5, an open bracket, is the start of my answer. How many 5s can I get into 10? 2, so I've got 2x. How many 5s can I get into 20? 4, and it's negative 20, so it's negative 4. Close the bracket, job done. All right, let's try the next question. Now, the next question is kind of taking us up a level because it's got this power in it. That can sometimes lead some students to want to change the method to one of 3 brackets because they're looking at that thinking it's a quadratic, which wouldn't be incorrect, but 2 terms, 1 bracket, okay? So it's F for factorising. What have I got common? So looking at my numbers, I've got 6 and 15, so 3 is the common times table. However, I also have X common in both of these, which means an X can come out as well. And that's where it can start to get like a little bit confusing, especially if we're going to think about it in division. So we're going to avoid thinking about it too much in division. So I've got the first part. And now I need to write something here that when it's multiplied, it's going to create this. So I'm almost thinking about my expanding bracket in order to get to this bit here. You don't have to. You could say, right, how many 3s can I get into 6? That's nice and simple, 2. So I'll put the 2 in here, okay? I want to make 6x squared. At the moment, 3x times 2 is 6x. It's not 6x squared. So I'm also going to need an x going in there as well. Now I've got 3 times 2 is 6 and x times x is x squared. And I would recommend thinking about what you get as you multiply in order to not lose some of the information. Okay, so next part. How many 3s can I get into 15? 3s into 15 go 5. It's a positive 5 because it's a positive 15. And now I'm going to be thinking about what this gives me. I've got 3 times 5 is 15. I've got 1x here on the outside. I only want 1x. I don't want to be putting another one there or I'm going to create x squared. So actually, I am finished at that point. I don't want to do any more. So the answer, just to make it clear, is 3x, 2x plus 5. And like I say, you can always expand to check and see whether or not that is giving you the right answer. Okay, there's one more type that we're going to look at. All of these you will see on a GCSE. So we want to be confident at all these different types. This one is obviously standing out as having an additional letter. It's still 2 terms, so 1 bracket. There we go. And the first thing we need to do is consider our numbers. So we've got an 8 and a 10. So 2 is the biggest times table. And then we look at our letters. X is only in one of them. So X is not coming out. Y, however, is in both of them. So Y can also come out. So 2Y is outside the bracket. Okay, I want to make 8xy squared. And I've got 2y starting me off. So how many 2s go into 8? 4. So I've got 2y times 4. So at the moment, I've got 8y, which is nowhere near 8xy squared. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at what it is I want to make. I need an 8. I've got 2 times 4 making me the 8. I need an x. There is no x anywhere yet. So x is going to have to go in at that stage. I've then got y squared. I've got 1 on the outside. I want y squared. I need 2 of them. So I've got 1 on the inside. And that's the first term done. Now, 2's into 10 go 5. So it's minus 5. I want 1y. And I've already got that 1y here. So I don't want to write it again. And that's all that gets written at the end there. So there's usually one term that needs a bit more work than the other. But in a nutshell, that is the kind of factorising you can expect at different levels in a foundation exam. So hopefully this has been helpful. Thank you for watching a Target Maths video. I hope the revision is going well. Please subscribe if you think that's going to help. There's lots of videos going up all the time. And if you ever need something that's not there, feel free to let me know. Thank you.